Coaching. Roles of a coach. There are 4 roles of a coach. These are innovator, motivator, educator, and role model. An innovator is someone who succeeds due to a personalized practice or skill. This can be through encouragement or specific strategies which improve their team's performance. The creativity of the coach will inspire the team and increase their motivation, which in turn encourages them to succeed. The creativity of the coach will also trigger individual creativity, such as new skills. The best example of an innovator is Gareth Southgate. During the World Cup, Gareth Southgate initiated his own personal practice. The new approach he took to attacking a corner ball created all types of problems for defending teams and quite frequently ended in the England team gaining a penalty or scoring from the corner. This individual strategy helped his team progress through the competition and inspired the players to spark their own individual creativity. A motivator. This is someone who encourages and inspires the team to contribute their full ability towards a range of circumstances, such as a match or just in training. The motivator will give their team purpose and a reason to develop their skills. The team will feel empowered to put their maximum ability into all contribution towards the team. This motivation will then allow the team members to perform well in their matches as they have been motivated to improve their weaknesses and therefore better their ability. An example of a great motivator is Tony Minchello. He was Jessica Ennis's coach towards her win of an Olympic gold medal. He took his knowledge and understanding of Ennis and inspired her to succeed. He used motivational comments before her events which zoned her into a mindset of a winner. The motivational push he endured onto Ennis contributed her to being one of the most famous athletes in the world, as she continues to win events with great passion. An educator. An educator is someone who teaches their team new skills and tactics that will benefit them in match-realistic circumstances. They will also teach new technical abilities to their team to improve their individual success and effort. The educator will also encourage their team in new skills that will help them gain advantages in matches and will put effort into making their team understand new advances. The educator will enlighten the team on how their skills and talents can be used in the match and increase their success rate. The best example of an educator is Glenn Mills. He coached the Jamaican sprint team throughout the Olympics. His knowledge and understanding on the techniques needed to exert an excellent sprint were passed on towards his runners and therefore improved their ability by a large margin. He continued to find techniques that suited each individual runner and therefore allowed them to reach the best of their ability. He educated them on new skills and different approaches that resulted them in becoming much more equipped to the final sprint, which on many occasions led them to a win. A role model. Being a role model is a very important role of being a coach. A role model is someone who can be looked up to and someone's actions you should be proud to follow. These type of people are inspiring and should be a figure that someone would want to mirror or follow closely in their path. The coach should be a good example in many factors. Role models allow members of the team to want to perform better and motivate them to succeed to the level of the role model. This will therefore improve their ability and motivate them to succeed to a higher level. Role models are also a great inspiration to any member of the team, as it allows them to understand that hard work pays off and that the new skills and drills will need a maximum effort for them to perform at their best ability. Boris Becker is a great example of a role model. He won major single titles at just the age of 17. Therefore, when he became a coach to Novak Djokovic, the inspiration was at a high level. When Boris started to coach, the advice he was passing on to his player was of a high standard and therefore made Novak want to perform at his best ability to prove he was as great as his coach. The success of Boris inspired Novak to improve his skills as he knew that he was capable of reaching the amount of success. The inspiration pushed Novak to put his maximum effort in and perform to the best of his ability to try and compare himself to his role model of a coach. A role model for an elite isn't very important as they are already an established sports player. They will have their own personal skills and routines that factor towards their level of ability. When they are at an elite level, they won't need much inspiration to better their ability as they are already at a high desired level. However, for a non-elite player, they will be much more inspired and motivated by inspiration. This will give them a drive to succeed and the motivation to practice new skills and better their ability. A motivator for a non-elite athlete will also be important as it will encourage them to continue to learn new skills and give them a purpose to continue to learn and increase their ability. They will have more effort in new drills as they will have someone to guide them and pushing them through it even if they struggle to learn at first. However, for an elite athlete, they will already be at a desired level and their motivation will be at a high standard as they will want to keep up with their skills and there is a high amount of competition. They will want to perform well in matches to prove themselves to their coach and therefore be motivated by that rather than someone being motivational towards them. Skills of a coach. There are 3 skills of a coach. These are communication, organisation, and analysing. Communication. This skill is most important for any coach as it allows them to coach effectively and efficiently. Without communication, there will be no knowledge exerted throughout the session and therefore nothing learnt or taught. Communication can be shown through many factors. For example, body language from the coach can be read by the team, such as if the thumbs up signal was signaled towards the team, they can understand that they're performing well. Or in a bad situation, it may involve the coach waving his arms up and down in anger. Communication also allows the coach to give the team advice and tips throughout a session or a match, which could then increase their success rate. If there is no communication between the coach and the group, then the players will not know how to improve their weaknesses or better their ability, due to the lack of information being transported. A good example of a coach with good communication is Gareth Southgate. He constantly uses many forms of communication to coach his team to succeed. When his team are performing well, you will often see him giving arm signals from the sideline towards his player to signal new ideas that may allow his team to break through in order to score. The coach also gives tips and advice to his team members after the game has finished so that they can progress on that weakness in training and then perform better in the next game. Organisation. Organisation for a coach involves being very prepared and ready for any circumstances to change. For example, this may include participant numbers. Therefore, a coach will need to be able to adapt their session depending on the amount of participants they have. This will mean the coach will have to be ready for the activity appropriateness to change as the numbers will affect the session. The equipment for the session will have to be ready and prepared. This will ensure that the session goes smoothly and there aren't any issues with preparing the equipment throughout the session and potentially wasting time. Organisation will ensure that the session will run on time. This will allow all factors in the session to be presented and taught. The facilities will also have to be accounted for. The coach will have to ensure that there is a facility available that suits the session they want to deliver. This involves them booking the space prior to the day of the session. A great coach whose organisation skills have factored towards their team's accomplishments is Glenn Mills. Glenn had to ensure that all members of his Olympic team were counted for in the session. With more than one athlete, Glenn had to adapt his sprinting session if one or more of the sprinters couldn't participate. Therefore, he would have to be organised for the session to still be beneficial if he were to adapt it. He also had to factor in the facilities. With more than one sprinting team being around the facilities during the Olympics, he had to ensure that his team had enough time in training to perform well. Therefore, he had to be organised and ensure that his team were continuously booked in to the arena to test the tracks. This benefited the athletes as it showed the effort towards their session and improved them to their best ability. Analysing. Analysing allows a coach to see what went well on their team's performance and therefore factors towards the improvement of the team. A coach will need to make good tactical judgments on their team to try and improve them so that they can succeed next time. In order to analyse their team, the coach will need a clear view on how they want their team to perform. This will allow the coach to pinpoint the areas that need work done on them. This will then be reviewed and new techniques will be created to succeed in that performance. For a coach to be a great analyzer, they will need to take into account the psychological, personality and motivation of the athlete, as it all will contribute to their final performance. With this analysis, the coach will be able to create solutions to then improve the athlete and come up with new techniques and ideas that will better the ability of and performance of the player. A good example of an excellent coach that uses analysis is Boris Becker. This coach closely follows the techniques that the athlete uses during a match performance and then creates improvements. Becker ensured he took into account his athletes' motivation levels, as that was a big factor into the match day performance. He had a clear view of how the tennis match should have been performed, and if this standard wasn't met, then he would deeply analyse why the techniques weren't followed or performed correctly, and describe these to Novak Djokovic in order to enhance his performance. Communication is very important at non-elite level as it allows vital information to be transported from coach to the athletes. At this stage, the athletes won't be at their full potential and will be inexperienced. This makes it even more important for the communication between the coach and athlete to happen. The coach will be able to give tips and advice on how the athlete can better their techniques and therefore factor towards their end performance. If the athlete has any questions or concerns on their ability, then the communication with the coach will ensure they are progressing and becoming better at their sport. Whereas at the elite stage, this isn't important. This is because the athletes are already at their best ability and have reached their full potential. This means there are less skills that can be improved. The communication between themselves and the coach won't be as vital, as key tips and improvements will be minor in comparison to a non-elite performer. At elite level, analysing can be very beneficial. It's very important to analyse the player's performance, as it allows the coach to come up with improvements that will benefit their team's overall performance. It may be much more difficult to notice an elite's mistakes during training, whereas in a game it is a match realistic and may affect the whole team. This therefore allows the coach to spot individual performance errors and if there are any techniques that need altering. Analysing the team as a whole will also mean new tactics can be created that the team can use together to better their performance and gain advantage over other teams. Whereas at non-elite level, the teams will be less advanced and therefore mistakes will be much more clearer and improvements will be easier to make. It may also be difficult for a coach to know exactly how they want their team to perform, with not all the athletes at their best ability, and therefore will make it difficult to do a deep analysis of their team.